Fellas, welcome back to the Mags List YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about mechanical tension and motor unit recruitment. Today we're going to be doing this at one of my favourite gyms. I haven't been here in ages. They've got so much equipment that I don't have at my normal gym, so I'm looking forward to it very much. And we're going to go smash out an upper day, and it's just going to be a fantastic day. I'll catch you guys when we get there. Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the... Mechanical tension is the primary driver of hypertrophy. And what mechanical tension actually is a pulling or stretching force in your muscle fibers when you put it under a load during resistance training. Let's get this top set done. I've got a little script with me and I'm still up. It'll get better as we go along. The first one's always going to be the most difficult. When you're doing a set, at the start you can lift the weight most easily and not all fibers are recruited. As you get closer to failure and there's an involuntary slowing of contractions, higher threshold motor units are recruited. The involuntary slowing leads to motor unit recruitment and higher mechanical tension on each active fiber. I'll be happy with 5 reps. I'm too lazy to get wrist wraps though, so we're just going to do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 60, 70 each hand. Probably go a bit lighter. Last time I was here, I think I did 3 reps aside with worse form than that for similar reps. That was ages ago. But what? I must have been over 90 kilos when I did that. I'm what, 79, 78 now. Can't complain. Yeah, there might have been a tad bit of an overshot on that set. I think the first 2 reps were calm. The 4th one was definitely dodgy. I could feel my bum coming up. I can't even remember, to be honest. I'm sure there'll be plenty of slander for however bad it was. A motor unit is a motor neuron and all the fibers it controls. So when you move or lift something, the central motor command sends a signal through your spinal cord to the relevant motor neurons. Each neuron recruits the fiber that it's connected to, which is what a motor unit firing is. So on that set, for example, it probably wasn't the best set. But let's say on that 3rd or 4th rep, when I started struggling, my central motor command, or CMC, sends a signal to my pec fibers saying, oh, there's an external force on this that he needs help lifting. So then the motor units and all the fibers they control are then providing or responding to that external force to help me move the weight. Because I've trained in a low rep range with the heaviest I can do, I'm getting the most motor unit recruitment I possibly can. Yeah, so that's the definitions and the context. We'll go into the next bit after, but let's make up for that previous set next. Oh, who actually trains for failure in 2025? Holy fatigue. Yeah.
The big ones are 5.
Alright, thank you. So the small ones are 2.5 and the big ones are 5.5. So that means I was miles off. It was like 85. This means this should be a warm up though, because on my gym I do like 95ish. Flipping heck. I'm meant to be going off and doing engineering. I can't even do multiplication on paper. Got like a 10 mark integration by parts question right in my actual A level. I'm finished. I feel it's heavier, like it's literally manhandling my body weight. Alright, I will try and go a little bit heavier. So that should be 90.5. Which is what I normally do, ish. Move him down now, and we'll go back to having a chat. We talked about the definitions, so we know what motor unit recruitment is. We know sort of how it works. Same with mechanical tension. So I'm going to read off the script, so I don't want to mess it up again. But I did write the script myself, so I don't think there should be anything wrong with that. When you lift a load, your nervous system increases motor unit recruitment and firing rates to produce the needed force. So, as I talked about on that chest press, you would have seen it more in the second set. As I started struggling in the later reps, my motor units are recruiting fibers, so they're firing to help me lift the weight, to produce force to need the lift the weight. So, as you fatigue, as you get closer and closer to failure, the additional higher threshold motor units are recruited to continue with the force output. Meanwhile, inside each active fiber, mechanical tension, so this bit I only learned this morning while I was doing a bit more research just to make sure everything was spick and span. Mechanical tension is detected by mechanosensors in structures. It says structures like costomeres and the cytoskeleton. I can't actually remember where I saw that, and I don't know what that is, so I know the mechanosensors thing's right. Meanwhile, inside each active fiber, mechanical tension is detected by mechanosensors. So this local detection of tension triggers signaling pathways like MTOR. So you might have heard the word MTOR being spoken by big Dr. Mike, Mr. Deep Stretch himself. MTOR is thrown around a lot. I don't know it in that much detail. I'm still learning, but it's definitely involved in this, and those signaling pathways lead to hypertrophy. All right, now let's do a working set. That felt good. I might have cut depth from the second one, but as long as it was below like here, fine. Alright, I was definitely swinging more than I wanted to. This is what I mean. This is another reason why training failure is important. I've been lifting for over 2 years and I'm still making mistakes in my form. I just do it subconsciously. I know exactly what I need to do. I still just do it subconsciously. Don't get me wrong, they're very minuscule things. Like, it's not going to make a huge, ridiculous difference, but the point is not everything's going to be perfect. So if you're training to 1 rep in reserve, and not only that, if you've got issues with your form, you're not potentially going as close to failure as you can. If you're doing really low volume and you're recovering, then you're training with bad form, you're not training as intense as you think you are, you're not going to make so much progress. So especially when you're starting out, the reason you should do, I say for beginners, doing the upper end of the volume is good, is because there's probably going to be plenty of sets you do where the stimulus you're making is not as amazing as you think it is, because you might not be training as intense as you think you are, your form's probably not perfect, and that's not abnormal. Like, everyone does that, as you can see. There are probably issues with my form. Well, there were issues with my form on my chest press. There's issues with on a pull down. Like, it's not bad form. If I continue doing this form, I'm going to grow, obviously, as I've shown, because since I've been doing science-based lifting, got really into it, still make problems with my form. I've put on loads of muscle. I've gotten way bigger since I've done all this science-based stuff. Training failure is good. So we talked about a bit in that last paragraph. So the more force you need to lift the weight, the more motor units you're going to need to recruit, or the more motor units your nervous system's going to produce. And obviously, I can't remember if I said it before, but the higher the threshold motor unit, or let's just simplify it, the bigger the motor unit, the more fibers it controls. But higher threshold units, I was meant to say it, it was on my script, and I still went off on a tangent and got it somewhat right. Higher threshold units, so bigger units, control more fibers. So logically, the heavier the force you need to lift the weight, so basically the heavier the weight, the more force you need, the higher threshold motor units you'll recruit. And then obviously, the more fibers you're going to need. I hope I explained that all right. So that idea of the heavier the force, the heavier the weight, the higher threshold motor units you're going to recruit, that's Henneman's size principle. The motor units you recruit, the motor units your body can recruit, are recruited in order of size. So from smallest to largest, dependent on the force you need. On to the next subset. This song is so good. I should have gone flipping lighter, man. Those first 3 reps were perfect, and my form just went. Stop lifting with your ego. The form of the first 3 was good. You can see on the last one though, I did cut depth a little bit, but hey man, it's all good vibes. I enjoyed the set. I love training like this. What am I doing now? Lateral raises. I'm going to stay here and do it. Quality. Tell a lie, I'm pretty sure they have a machine for it. May as well just do it. I'm only doing 2 sets of shoulders today. Damn. I fell off. Nah, it's because I do shoulder press twice in the week. One of the days I do shoulder press and lateral raises. One of the days I do just shoulder press. And then today I do 2 sets of lateral raises. But now I think about it, there is one day where on the upper day I do on a Saturday, I think I do like 3 presses. I think I'm meant to have a chest press, a JM press, and a shoulder press. But I might have actually taken a JM press out of my program, so Smith at my gym kept rage baiting me. If I'm still doing JM press, I'll probably move this to a Friday and do shoulder press today. So I only do 1 press today. Don't know why I wouldn't have shoulder press as well. But end of the day, it's just really not deep. I'm gonna grow. Okay. I'm gonna put the seat down. Am I gonna put the seat down? Yes. Let's give that a crack. Okay, that's too high now. No stretch, man. Dr. Mike's gonna kill me. Need to stretch, Mike. I'm only joking. Don't stretch, man. You need to find the good medium between that. I don't like the people who say slam the weight, dead stop. There's a good medium. Like, yes, the eccentric's not as important as a concentric. But that doesn't mean, first of all, the eccentric does have a point. Yes, it may not be directly for muscle growth mechanical tension because the fibers aren't as active. But range of motion is good to standardize. Controlled eccentric is good to standardize. Also, it's just a... I need to stop swearing, man. It's just such a prick move to slam weights and call it science-based. I just disagree with it, man. That's my little rant out of the way. Let's see how heavy I can do these. Try to do 50. Alright, let's read my next little paragraph. Give me another 2 years. I'm a Mog TNF. So we talked about Penniman's principle. Okay, here we go. So obviously, this stuff is catered to beginners to an extent because I still count myself as a beginner, but since my A-levels are finished, I can't nerd out over physics and maths anymore. I need to nerd out over science-based lifting now. So just taking up my free time, you know. So when you begin training, your nervous system primarily recruits smaller low-threshold motor units due to the limited efficiency in activating larger high-threshold units. So, like you remember earlier I talked about form. That could be a reason. You could also just not be strong enough. Because if you're weak and you can't do like heavy weights, you're not instantly going to be able to recruit your really high threshold fibers because you don't need that much force. Which is why progressive overload is so important, so you can continuously recruit those higher threshold units. But of course, when I was talking about form, if your form's crap, not all the tension is going to be in your lats. So for example, on that pull down, I swung a little bit. If I swung more, not all the tension would be on my lats anymore. So I wouldn't be, there wouldn't be as much motor unit recruitment in my lats. There wouldn't be as many motor units firing. There wouldn't be as much force needed in my lats because I'm using other parts of my body to move the weight. So that's another reason there'll be limited efficiency. When I talk about progressive overload, it's just basically lifting more weight or doing more reps with something each week, or each session rather. So the progressive overload itself creates greater force demands and that drives neuroadaptation. So if I then next week do heavier lat pull down with better form, for example, that will drive neuroadaptations because I'm going to be recruiting higher threshold motor units than this time because I'm going to need more force to move the weight. So over time, these adaptations improve your nervous system's ability to recruit larger motor units, which are essential for producing high force and facilitating strength and muscle growth. And that's the other thing. People go, oh, you're training for strength in that rep range. First of all, 0 out of 10 rage bait. Second of all, strong people have muscle. Like, there's obviously going to be a direct correlation between how much muscle someone has and how strong someone is. If you're going to get stronger, you're going to put on more muscle. Like, I don't think I need to explain the science behind that. I feel like that's just common sense. It's like saying, oh, you're revising all day, you haven't shown it in a test. Funnily enough, if I've been revising all day and I go do that test, I'm probably going to do quite well. I don't think that's the best analogy, but you get the idea. I'm disappointed. I should have had one more there. So the force is what your body produces to lift the weight. So external force, think of it like that. And mechanical tension is what your muscle fibers experience internally during the fat force production. So your force so think about this, when you're differentiating motor units and mechanical tension is inside your muscles. Motor units are what your muscle fibers are producing. So motor unit recruitment, so MUR, is external, so that's force. Mechanical tension is obviously a type of force. That is what your muscle fibers experience. So mechanical tension, internal, motor unit recruitment, external. So for your muscles to grow, so for hypertrophy to be achieved, you want to recruit the biggest. For you to continuously recruit, brother, I've done it again. For your muscles to grow, so for hypertrophy to be achieved, you want to recruit as big and as many motor units as possible, which happens by you creating as much mechanical tension as possible, as you can in your muscles, because it's the same process. So you do this through good exercise selection, so exercise with decent degrees of stability, but even without decent degrees of stability, good form, not ego lifting, so don't be irrational. That's the other thing. I saw someone saying, oh, enjoyment doesn't matter because if someone wants to do a hex press, they're not going to make as many gains. But then that's irrational, because who wants to do a hex press over a dumbbell press? Most of the time, people's enjoyment comes from being able to lift more weight. Like, for example, the reason I like barbell rows more is because when I ego lift on it, I'd row 2 plates. So that's a silly argument. So for you to continuously recruit the most and biggest motor units as possible, you need progressive overload, as you're only going to progress in the size and quantity of motor units recruited if your muscles are put under a large amount of mechanical tension, which is achieved through a larger amount of weight or reps and this overall force between the muscle fibers. I don't even think that makes sense. This is almost like a trial run. I'm obviously still going to post it, but you know what, like I said, it's only up from here, right? I really like... There we go. Actually training with intensity. I can't remember what we're doing next. I think it's curls. Probably curls. So the curls in a row and then a fly. It would make sense to do, not a fly, push downs. It would make sense to be doing a row first, then the push downs, then curls. But judging by the pressing thing we talked about earlier, who knows? I love this gym, man. The gym I'm moving to next month is sick as well. This is one thing I wish I had as well. A machine breacher curl. Unilateral? No, that feels horrible. Holy. Unilateral force deficit. Unilateral movements produce more motor units. Gosh. Next thing. I'm on the second page now. We are cooking. Oh, okay. How do you go about creating loads of mechanical tension? So it's important to use strict form, which allows you to bias or isolate the muscle you're trying to target. So for example, if you're doing a set of lat pull downs like I was doing earlier, and you start to use loads of momentum, so you're basically swinging the weight down rather than pulling it down, you'll be creating less mechanical tension in your lats because the other muscles are being used to move the weight rather than all mechanical tension being on your lats. So on those first 3 reps, when my form was perfect, all the tension would have been on my lats. But when I started swinging a little bit, there wouldn't have been as much tension as there could have been because I'm using other muscles to move the weight. So, and the reason motor units are involved in that, I think I said it before, is if you're making less mechanical tension there, in a neuro adaptation sense, even though I'm struggling to lift the weight, I'm basically using other muscles instead of my lats to move the weight. which means my lats aren't the things that now need force. I'm now getting that force instead of from the muscle fibers of my lats, I'm getting them from other muscles in my body by using momentum. All right, how heavy do you reckon we can go on these? Definitely heavier than that. I'm a lot stronger since I last come here. Tap into science-based lifting, fellas. As I was saying before, it's also good to use exercises with high degrees of stability because this will minimize the use of stabilizers in other muscles, which will reduce the amount of mechanical tension you can make in the muscle you're trying to target. So obviously I still do barbell rows, so I love them, they're so much fun. But because I'm having to use my core to stabilize, I'm having to use my hamstrings, so much stuff. There's not as much being done in my back. That's basically all that means. Whereas, I don't know if you've seen a Keenan flap, it's a single joint movement, so only your lats are doing stuff. Because the way the cable's set up, there's a cuff, your bench, everything's stable, only your lats are working. And you might go, oh, well, why don't you just do single joint movements? First of all, it's so depressing. Like, you don't want to be doing single joint stuff. First, it takes ages to set up, it's so impractical, and it doesn't make a difference that big at all to your progress. Like, you're going to get so much more out of just enjoying some unstable movements. And also, you can do stable movements that are multi-jointed. So, like, that chest press I did's multi-joint. It's very stable, pretty much. But, yeah. Don't need to. What am I doing? Just do your set, bro. Oh, sugar, I moved the machine. Let's move the machine back to where I found it. Now we've got to the juicy stuff. I say juicy. The most important thing with mechanical tension motor unit recruitment, how to do it, talked about earlier with the stimulating reps model. The most important thing is training with intensity, which means you're pushing yourself to failure or close to failure in every set. So that's 0 or 1 rep and reserve on every single working set. So the rep range you should be training in should be 4 to 7/8. I've talked about it before with the stimulating reps model, because we know from the stimulating reps model that it's the last 5 reps of an intense working set which generate the most hypertrophy, or just generate hypertrophy. So, and we think about it logically, if we know that it's when the most force is needed due to involuntary slowing of contractions, that's when motor units are recruited. You're only going to start, the contractions are only going to start slowing towards the end of a set. And if that's where the hypertrophy happens, or where you get the stimulus, you want to skip to that straight away. There's no point doing loads of other reps, which are just going to fatigue you and mean you're going to have to use a lighter weight in order to get a proper working set, which means less force will be needed once you get to those slowing contractions, and lower thresholds of motor units will be recruited. So we want to skip straight to those stimulating reps, which is why we train that 4 to 7 or 8 rep range. I can't even remember what I'm doing after this. Rows? It is rows, but I'll probably do triceps next, then rows, then shrugs, forearms and a fly. Oh, that's so nice. This is something I'm excited for. Every time I came and trained here with my mates, always did this. It is quality. Like, I've never actually done it as an upper back row. I've never even done a T-bar row as an upper back row. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's just flare your elbows and pull with your elbows, I guess. Squeeze your shoulders together. But, oh, it's so... I wish I had doing one of these. I wonder how heavy I'll be able to get. On a cable row with a lap bar, how much can I do? 75 or 80? So surely I'll be able to do 2 or 3 plates. Nah, there's no way I'll be able to do 3. I'm pretty sure last time I was here, I did a narrow... Actually, no, it wouldn't have been narrow. I can't even remember. The only thing I don't like is having to pull this up. Ooh. Ooh. It feels light, but I still think a third plate's probably a bit. Alright, I've looked at the form. It felt heavier than it looked. I'm just thinking, my elbows look so tucked in that video. I think it's because my elbows naturally tucked because of where these are. I move these in because I'm trying to target upper back, rhomboids, traps, and with that you want scapular retraction. So, okay, the aim of this is for me to retract my scapula, basically, which is pretty much just me doing this, bringing my shoulder blades together. And to do that, I want my elbows to be flared, and because I'm holding it wider, it's harder for me to flare my elbows. So let's give this a crack, see if it's any easier. I think it is. I don't even know. I might even still be doing it for lats. Right, we'll go one wider in between. Because now they start so close in anyway. Well, I didn't even know what was on before. If I do that, is he going to move? Yeah. Nice. All right. Let's... That's where it should be. Ugh. There we go. Fucking hell, that takes your breath away. Well, that's what? 40, 55. I'm sure the machine weighs at least 20. So it's not like it doesn't make sense. I don't know how I feel about that. I felt shocking. Well, thankfully it's only one set. Right. I don't know if the stack's going to be heavy enough, but better than doing nothing if it's not. Couldn't find the gym pin, so it's what it is. Ugh. Yeah, it's not going to be. It is what it is. I will do. I'm gonna have another look for a gym pin while I wait. We were talking about rep ranges, stimulating reps, all that stuff. So it's also important you know that each set you do, your sets are going to become less hypertrophic because of fatigue or intra-workout fatigue. So I'll do a separate long form video going deeper into training frequency. Might do as a short form video because I don't think it's that complicated. But you should be doing anywhere between 4 and 10 sets per week per muscle group, spread across 2 or 3 sessions. So I do 3 upper days and 2 lower days. So I do like, I think 6, 7 or 8, I can't remember. Somewhere between 6 and 8 sets of quads. I do like, and that's split over 2 sessions. I do 8 sets of chest split across 3 sessions. You get the idea. So the reason this is the amount of volume we do is that there's literature which shows after a point, which off the top of my head, I think it was 12 sets per week, there's a point of diminishing returns. Well, that is the point of diminishing returns. And the 4 to 10 sets gives a good split between creating stimulus and managing fatigue. You don't need more sets than that to create stimulus. And like I said, the point of diminishing returns, it works out well. It's almost like a compromise. So structuring this way means you'll generate high degrees of mechanical tension. Oh, well, okay, it's like this. Any more than how many sets I just said to do per week would be like junk volume. Structuring it this way means you'll generate high degrees of mechanical tension during your sessions without fatigue affecting how much you can produce. So that's the science part done. Now let's just finish out my session while I yap.